John, I think a lot of people thought that Trump was the most important person attending the rally, but you've got something for us tonight. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. Crazy week. I mean, school shooting again and all that stuff. I mean, that shook me up. I got to tell you, it's interesting. People comment, and somebody made a comment today about, how I don't care about school shootings. That's not necessarily, that's not
What?
true. That's
Yeah,
not,
why would
yeah.
they say that? Oh, because you're not covering
Because,
it, you mean?
yeah, because I never got into the whole Parkland thing, and I never got into the thing in Connecticut. I never did any stuff on that. And so to think that that's the case is not true. So first of all, I got kicked off of Twitter because of one of those shootings. I think there was a shooting in Texas at a Walmart or something like
Oh,
that. I forget.
yeah.
Yeah, and I
Now,
tweeted something with two different
uh,
pictures of the perp, and they kicked me off of Twitter.
yeah.
So yeah, so
That's the thing. A lot of times people will be like, oh, how come John isn't talking about this? How come Jason isn't talking about that? That's part of the setup. And certain people don't get it. Maybe they're regular people, but it's like if you're coming at me with a fake name and a flower picture, like, oh, here, investigate this thing that you're not even talking about. It's like, this is what social engineers do to us.
well, there's only so many hours in the day, right? So in fact, because I'm so myopic, this is an interesting observation. People, before I realized that I had Asperger's, people thought I had OCD. And it's not OCD. It's like I don't count stuff or go back and forth between doorways and I don't have to touch things 4 times. It's not like that. But I kind of have the ability to kind of switch on myopic focus. So I can look like I have OCD. It looks like I'm obsessing over something like the Las Vegas shooting and windows and helicopters and stuff like that. But to me, it's just focus. But it's at the detriment of I have no idea what's going on in the world. Like except for that school shooting this week, I don't really know what else is going on because I'm so focused on this stuff. All the other things that are in the news, I kind of don't really know what's happening because I've been so crazy focused on this.
Yeah.
So, but the school shooting shook me up. In
Oh,
fact, I was supposed to do an interview that day. Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah. I captured
Yeah,
that,
nice picture where you found the shoe.
and about the shoe, and wag the dog, and what was it? Good old shoe, and what was
But
in wag the dog?
I don't know about
The
that.
whole thing was old shoe Joe, and was the guy in Albania and all they had was a photo of the shoe, and this
Wow.
was De Niro and the
Oh,
guy
yeah,
from the
Dustin
Crowdsource,
Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman and De Niro, and they're doing the thing about they got to have the shoe, and the shoe is like, and then they
See,
did a
that's
ding
weird
about
because,
the shoe.
well,
Yeah, there was a whole song about the shoe
that's
in Wag
amazing.
the Dog.
Are you
Yeah.
aware of Ole Damagard's focus on the significance of shoe imagery around these kind of sort of mass trauma events, the school shootings and the terrorist events and stuff like that? He says that it's part of the imagery and the programming. I forget why, but there's certain
I
things
forget
that
why
are,
too, but yeah, I know that
yeah,
he's pointed it out, and that's why I kind of use it. It's tongue in cheek that I'm using it here to. It's a
interesting.
little bit of a tip of the hat to Ole.
Hmm.
So you introduced me to Ole. We did a show together, the three of us,
Oh, yeah.
very early on when we
He
first started
bugged
doing
out.
podcasts.
He decided he wanted to do shows with Robert David Steele, and I think he's living in Bali. Maybe Charles will
Yeah,
run into him somewhere.
yeah, yeah. He's like in Indonesia, living amongst the volcanoes. Well, so with a crazy week, and sort of the point here is that this school shooting did shake me up. I had an interview scheduled that day, and I just felt like, in your business, they say the show must go on, right? And regardless, like, dude, they finished the movie Rust. It's like, holy mackerel, guys. It's like at some point, the show doesn't have to go on, okay?
Well,
You stop.
no, I mean, I appreciate
Uh,
what they're saying. I mean, maybe the cinematographer will want
well,
that,
you're from the
maybe.
business. Yeah, it's from the industry. But for me,
But why did
it's
they
like,
arrest the
no,
father?
oh, that's a
Because he
whole other
bought the
story.
gun?
Well, and it seems like the mom had been arrested 17 times or something.
What?
Yeah,
17? See, this is what I'm saying. There's these families that there's something weird going on. Like the father is arrested, the father bought the gun, the kid has some kind of whole hairstyle going on.
mom's a mess.
14,
Mom's a
Colin
mess.
Gray, or what it wasn't the kid's Colt Gray. I mean, is this real? This is a real person, Colt Gray? This whole
Colt Gray.
thing sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
FBI bullshit to me.
Again, this is the other thing is that it becomes a draw, it becomes a distraction to me
Right.
from what I'm working on. That doesn't mean I don't care. It shook me up that day to the point that I canceled an interview because I felt like I'm not one of these the show must go on kind of guys. Like it shook me up and my head is spinning about what's happening. You got 4 dead people, 30 people injured, and what's going on there. And as it's happening, I'm thinking I can't go do an interview with somebody and go talk about another subject as this is transpiring in real time. And so
And forgive me, I don't mean to be insensitive when I say this sounds like FBI concoctions. I'm not saying that people weren't killed. I'm just saying how many times, this is a serious question, John. How many times can we hear they always say, oh, the FBI, we had this guy on the radar since 2013. Is anyone looking at this
Every
FBI
time.
radar? Or is it just on in a room and everybody's on it and no one's looking at that?
Yeah, I said it was quiet and demure. So that's the secret. You just be quiet and demure. And
But I'm serious in this question because I think that when they say this person is on our radar, they mean they're aware of who they are, communicating, etc. This is someone that the FBI is grooming, and it takes me back to this guy Justin Hess. Why were all of these internet trolls that we're very aware of interacting with this guy who did snap? Are there a certain number of individuals who the FBI, they kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? They profile them and say, hey, this person is schizophrenic or borderline personality, whatever, and they have guns, and let's see if we can, pay this guy $500 to bomb a Christmas tree or whatever the hell they're trying to do. They always have these people on the damn radar. So what does that mean?
The Tsarnaev brothers in Boston,
Right.
The Boston bombing.
All that.
They were, dude, I don't get it. This is your world. This is people. I don't understand
Well,
people.
this is
Certainly this
espionage.
stuff.
This is espionage. Somebody shot people at that school, and then separate
do you
from all that,
convince-
we have this story.
How do you convince a 20-year-old kid to go scamper up a bunch of roofs with an AR-15 and take one in the forehead? Again,
No, that's not what they convinced him of. They tricked him into that.
well, that's what I mean. How do you trick somebody into doing something like this to think, I'm going to be fine?
Oh,
And then bang, he's dead. But
Wait a
we got
minute.
so much
Did
covered.
you
What-
see this? Before we go to that, along the lines of what you're saying, so I had put into the Beaver County ESU.
Yes. I've been posting about this today. So
This is pretty huge, right?
Yeah,
I think
no,
they
this
made
is
a
a big
mistake.
a
is
mistake
it?
by sending it to you? What do
I
you mean?
think that they didn't want to send me that document with all these unredacted names because here. So
That's what you. No, don't put that on the screen. Don't
Oh.
put that on the screen. We're gonna get age knocked, please.
damn it. Sorry.
dude.
That just happened. Oh well. Sorry. See,
All right,
this is how they get us. But the
so-
point is, people should sign up to sponsor this show so that we don't have to deal with this nonsense. I should have queued that up before it was on screen. I apologize, John. People can sponsor us where we can operate in a First Amendment friendly environment. And we're going to be doing that in about 25 minutes. People can join us on subscribestar.com/I am John Cullen, patreon.com/I am John Cullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, and all the other Crowdsource the Truth channels. What I was trying to get to is I got this thumb drive, my Beaver County ESU Right to Know Act thing got fulfilled. And so people can go to crowdsourcethetruth.org and you can either download the entire contents of this thumb drive This is an interesting story, how I got this. They didn't want to give it to me. I had to threaten a lawsuit and speak to the district attorney, and I could tell that the frustrated person I was speaking to would have been the person who would have had to answer that lawsuit. So the next day, magically, I got this letter, and they said, your thing is coming in the mail. So people can download the contents, or you can go right to this unredacted document where we now know the names of the different individuals who took the photographs, who was, this is a misspelling, it seems, of the
And
guy's
that's a
name.
big deal, because one of the things that we needed to know, one of the things that has been sort of like an open question that's not on the bookshelf, like this is front and center sitting right here on the table, is who else was in the building with Greg Nickel when he comes to the doorway? So we see from the dash cam, he comes to the door, opens the door, what was it, a minute after?
2 minutes.
A minute, 2 minutes, 90 seconds after, he comes to the doorway. Well, the big question is, who else was in the building with Greg Nickel? Who was left in the building when Greg Nickel came to the doorway? And that, now we've got some names. So this is a big, big deal. But as important as these names are, there's one person out of all these people that changes the narrative.
Who is
One
it?
person. Well, that's what we're going to look at tonight. That's what the show is all about. One of the interesting things, by the way, about Greg Nickel, who he's not just married to Michelle,
Right.
who's the medic we see up on the rooftop. So Michelle's the medic on the rooftop. I think she's got orange gloves on. Is that right? She's wearing orange gloves. She's in the SWAT thing. She's a member of the SWAT team. They're married, but we keep seeing these parallels to the Vegas shooting. He's a canine cop. Dude, if he had a Malinois with him, that Malinois would have taken that kid on the roof and grabbed him by the groin, and we would have had this whole thing finished in a matter of 6 seconds. That dog would
They
have...
didn't have any canine units there, did they?
He's a canine guy, just
he's-
like in Vegas. Zoom out and look at his chest. It says
Yeah, it
canine.
says canine. So what do you mean just like in Vegas? What is it
So in
about canine guys?
So in Vegas, both David Newton and Josh Bitsko were canine handlers. They're the two guys who were there with Levi Hancock, who breached the room at 32-135. Both of them are canine guys, and they left their dogs in the car.
Isn't that like who would do that?
That's kind of it's like you train for this moment, and then you leave the dog in the car.
Isn't it also terrible for the dog?
Well, they've got the air conditioning on or whatever, but the whole point is if you're going into a suite where there's a shooter,
Yeah.
why would you not bring the Malinois? Yeah, why? And Greg Nickel is here. And again, if there's a perp running around on the rooftops, jumping from roof to roof, let the dog go get the guy.
But isn't it a matter of like what they're prepared for? Maybe they have like swing responsibilities where he's a sniper today and a canine next week, and they didn't schedule the canine to be there.
But it's just another parallel where we've got a canine handler with no dog, and all hell breaks loose. Just like in Vegas, where you got Newton and Bitsko, canine handlers, no dogs, up in Mandalay. It's like, guys, if you had your dogs, you'd be getting stuff done. But I digress. So that's Greg Nickel.
Did you see this? Tren de Aragua surveilling me outside the hotel?
Yeah, this was another big story. The audience, if you guys aren't following what Jason's doing, Jason found the U.S. Army at a hotel in New York, finds out that, and they tell you to contact this company because they are the kind of the NGO that set it up. You look into the NGO.
No, they didn't tell me to contact them. I saw that tag on people's shirt kicking me out and started looking into the thing and found out that their COO is an embezzler. Convicted.
Well, you found out that Shamika got 80 million. Okay, the allegation, right? We know Shamika got 80 million. The allegation is that there's an embezzlement here, but
this is what I wanted to show you. Do you know this guy? See, this is Jackson Township Police Officer Michael Murko, Murcko. Seems like
he's supposed to be in the other window.
Guy. Well, and also because there was another part of this unredacted document that I'm trying to get to. Twitter is just sometimes so annoying to search because I thought I just had it right in here, but where it shows the whole Well, we should just get it from here. We'll get it from Google Drive, but we can look at this during. I don't want to cut into what you want to talk about the deck. We'll look at this during the time where we are dealing with the sponsors. But there's a lot of stuff in this unredacted document that if you haven't seen it in full yet, you're going to love it.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, this is a huge get. So this is like a FOIA request, and they sent you a whole bunch of unredacted stuff. And now that we have the names of the people that were in the building, this Mirko guy, this opens up a whole new part of the, yeah, this is huge. And people can find this on your website. Which website do you want them to go to?
Yeah, if you just go to crowdsourcethetruth.org, it's free on there. But see, this thing, they had all the names cut out redacted here. Before, and now we know Nickel, Crawford.
Huge, dude. Yeah,
right?
This is huge.
Yeah.
We got to.
And then I kept their personal phone numbers redacted. That's all that's missing there.
And they sent you a thumb drive? They physically sent you a thing. They sent you a thing.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
So now, see, look, we now know that Greg Nickel took this photograph, okay? And then he took this photograph of the bike. And the thing that I really wanted to show you.
That's not the backpack. That's not the same backpack.
Right. There's a lot to look at here.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. So here. Gianvito took the death photo.
Ooh, there's
so Costanza. It's not George Costanza, but we know these guys are all there, and that's there's wife.
Michelle,
right?
Yeah, Vassilidotis.
Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah. So she's Greek. Michelle is Greek.
But wait, there's something else.
No,
it's off.
Okay,
it's off. It's off.
Okay.
There's something here that I wanted to go to specifically because it says Mirko somewhere in here, and they had it.
Yeah, it was in the window.
Out.
In the window.
It was. Yeah. You saw
the window shot. The second floor window. Yeah, keep going. It was in the second floor window shot. Next one down. No?
I saw it on there somewhere. Anyway, we have that unredacted document. We'll go through it extensively. There's a lot of stuff to study there. It's amazing that we now know that. And there's other things I'm going to do because they didn't fulfill that right to know request completely. So there's more stuff we're going to do with the... Anyway, sorry.
All right. Why don't we go to the deck and I'll walk everybody through stuff where we don't have pictures of the dead kid on the roof, and we'll.
No, that's not on screen anymore.
Okay, if we're still on YouTube, they may have hit the button already. All right, so so we got this shot of the shoe. This is wag the dog, Ole Damagard, the shoe. Let me get my shoes, and it looks like he left one of his shoes behind. So that's important. So the big question for tonight's show is, of all these people, who is the single most important person? And some people have said Greg Nickel is the single most important person. Some people have said the person in the window next to Greg Nickel when Greg Nickel leaves to go downstairs and locks himself out of the room. So everybody's got a theory about who's the most important person. Some people have said Donald Trump is obviously the VIP.
That's what I thought.
All right. Well, again, I go by thickness, so I measure things a little bit differently.
Right.
To me, the single most important person here in this crowd would be the person where, because of their existence, because they are where they are, and they either got shot or did not get shot, it changes the entire narrative.
Is there out here?
Anywhere in the whole place. In other words, anywhere in this whole Butler scene, anything that's happening in Butler, is there a person that changes everything? And the answer is yes. And that has to become then the focus, because as much as everybody else is important, there is one person here that changes the entire narrative. And it like, so in other words, like in the Vegas shooting, when you watch the footage where the guy's going to the room and the guy pulls the curtain back.
Oh, you're right. It can't be this.
No, it's not.
Right.
Right. And then you hear on the headphones, "Hey guys, we got another room with a broken window."
Yeah.
It's sort of that moment kind of changes the story. It's like, dude, the window's not broken. Got another room with a broken window. It's sort of the same kind of a moment here. It's like
a let's wait 2 years to tell everybody about this moment.
Well, nobody's going to talk about it but us, obviously. Right. And it's kind of weird because, in fact, I think I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think Brett Weinstein kind of called Chris Martenson out for not focusing on this, or,
Good.
pretending, whatever. Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Martenson said a lot of stupid stuff on that interview with Brett Weinstein. He had
And
to
I
explain
think
to him what data was as well. I like that.
so again, I think Brett called him out, whether or not that made it to the broadcast or not, right? Because some of the stuff ends up on the editing floor. But I think Brett was a bit frustrated with Chris basically avoiding this whole back row conversation. But I digress. I digress. Okay.
But isn't he
So
doing that, John, because he wants to have people not pay attention to you? He's got a specific narrative that he's going on. It doesn't have to do with the evidence. It's got to do with the unsteady
Chris
Dave and
Martenson?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Again, yeah, I don't even. Again, I don't watch him. I don't know what he's doing. So after that first week where he used my video to count the shots and everything, after that, I'm off to the races doing my thing. But let's talk about why there's one person here. Yeah, let's go to this next slide. So based on the narrative, we've got a shooter on the rooftop shooting at the president. Okay. And we've got Corey Comparatori gets shot and killed. We've got David Dutch gets shot twice. We've got Jim Copenhaver gets shot twice. And we have a couple things to get hit, but we've got some housekeeping to do. Last week we talked about the John Deere. It was not hit. We talked about the fire engine. It was not hit. We have to do some housekeeping and clean up some stuff from last week. But in this notion of you're shooting at the president, one of the shots hits his ear, his right ear, and the other 7 that we hear, so we hear 8 shots that sound like they're coming from the bad guys, and then we hear 2 shots that supposedly are coming from the good guys, one supposedly from a guy from Butler with his AR-15, and then the other from one of these sniper guys. But if there's 8 shots from baddies, from bad guys, bandits, and 1 clips the president, that means 7 shots miss, right? So 7 shots don't hit the president. 1 of them hits Corey Comparatori, kills him. 2 of them hit David Dutch. Now, is one of those shots that hit David Dutch also a shot that hit the president in the ear? I don't know, right? Could be. Could be that the shot that hit the president in the ear hits David Dutch, and, that's a possibility. Copenhaver gets hit twice. And the hydraulic thing gets hit. I'm going to show the audience what got hit on the hydraulic telecrane in a second.
Hey, John,
yes, sir.
is Copenhaver out of the hospital? Has he said anything to anybody?
No.
Why not?
It appears that, if you ask me, it looks like he licensed his footage.
He did. You can't get it.
Right. And they don't want to even talk about it. So it looks like Fox got the footage. And that's that. No, we haven't seen him on the Today Show. We haven't,
Yeah.
Good Morning America.
And he
nothing.
lawyered up, and the lawyers told me, no, you can't have the footage. It's like, what?
Right. So that's very odd. All right. So again, this is the trajectory coming from the building at the president. And you see people getting hit both up range. That's Corey Comparatori is closer to the shooter than the president. He gets hit. And we see people downrange from the president. So the shots that miss the president go past him, hit David Dutch, hit Copenhaver. We see these things happening, right? We have video evidence of these events happening. So let's go to the next slide. So when we go to the 3D model, we line all this stuff up and we say, okay, well, we know one of the shots hits Corey Comparatori. We know that. We know that 2 shots hit David Dutch. We know 2 shots hit Copenhaver. We know 1 shot goes right by the president's ear. Well, if you go to the next slide, you start to say, oh, right, well, wait a second. If the president's ear was hit with the first shot, what is it that we see on that railing in the back? So we have that railing that gets hit. And it sounds like the railing is getting hit with the first shot because it's the first bang. So we hear bang, and we see the puff of smoke on the railing. But the president also winces and reaches for his ear right at that first shot. The problem here is that the physics don't work out, meaning when you do the line from the rooftop to the president's ear, it doesn't then go to the railing. That can't be one event.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, especially because we only
That can't lie. How can
That's-
that lie?
It can't anymore, meaning once upon a time, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, we were using rough estimates for the ground layer and all that. And then Bill went out and spent $100 to get the National Geographic survey, like the real deal, and spent the money to do it, put that in there. He checked it against Hendrix's ground model and said his was the one he paid for was way more accurate. So he went with that. We double checked all the measurements on everything. And now he has the physics, meaning, all right, so here's where this connects to Galileo. You know how much I love Galileo because of Jupiter and the moons of Jupiter. Have you ever been to Pisa, Italy?
No.
No? All right, so if you go to Pisa, Italy, you get the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah.
In 1519, 500 years ago, Galileo, I think it was 1519, could be 1506 or 7. I'm not good that way. But Galileo goes up to, give or take, in the 1500s, Galileo goes up to the Leaning Tower of Pisa with a big cannonball and a marble.
Right. Gravity.
And until that time, the belief was, according to Aristotle. So Aristotle's like, what, 2,500 years before Christ?
I don't know.
And now 1,500 years after. So for 4,000 years, we were operating under the belief that gravity and the way things would fall would be based on their mass. And Galileo comes along and goes up to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, drops a cannonball and a marble off a thing at the same time, and they hit the ground simultaneously.
How does this not fall over? Are they doing something to fix it that we can't see?
They have been, yes, and I did visit it, and it is spectacular. It is an absolutely spectacular feat of architecture based on when it was built.
Right.
The whole area there, that whole cathedral and everything, it's really breathtaking. And I will say, I had the best pizza I've ever had in
Leaning
Pisa.
Tower of Pizza.
No,
wait a
but
minute. Hey,
in a little restaurant near the river there. It was phenomenal.
We got to go over to the sponsor exclusive segment. We're out of time here. So sorry for showing that death photo, everybody. You can join us and we'll look at whatever we want over here on...
Go to the next slide so I can show people what we're going to see on the patron-only portion. So if you join us with the patron-only portion, you're going to find out why this person changes the narrative. This is the single most important person at the event. And the reason is this person wasn't shot. And because this person was not shot, it establishes a trajectory. And it changes the entire story because of this individual. I'm going to pull up the 3D model. I'm going to show you how and why this one person changes everything.
Well, we'll be right back. Everybody can join us in less than 5 minutes on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thanks to everybody who sponsors both Crowdsource the Truth and John. We'll see everybody in less than 5 minutes.